Hello everyone, thank you for joining. I can see that our friends, hello Elsa, miss you, are joining us one by one, and it's so nice to have our guest joining us. Just in a second, I can see him requested. Um, here we go. Just in a second, I'm sure our acclaimed celebrity friend. Hello, Todd. Hello, Chef Todd English. So great to have you at Conversations with Olga. How are you?
So nice to see you. Great to see you again.
Yes.
Doing really wonderful. You. Uh, Last time I saw you was in Bali for a
Yes.
wonderful dear friend Avera's birthday.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I was very privileged, and there is amazing. By the way, if anybody goes to Bali, you have to visit fabulous aesthetics called Anaya,
Yes, that's so true. So,
and
so I'm here.
she's amazing.
Room
So
I'm in, very Balinese. So I don't know if that's giving it away, but where I might be right now.
yes, exactly. I know, but yes, it's giving it away a little bit, but
Yeah.
just enough. So
Yes.
the way we're going to do it, I will say a few words about my podcast, Conversations with Olga. I will also do a brief introduction for you, without saying too much, because and then we'll jump into our chat, our conversation, and I'm sure it's going to be exciting. We have about 1 hour, so and there's so much to talk with you about, and so much for me to share with others, for you to share, I should say, with others. But we will try. I'll try to uh, make it worth your while. So just here we go. Conversations with Olga is an IGTV YouTube series I started during the circuit break, actually several years ago, with the goal to introduce my friends and personalities whom I've met through my career and during my life's journey to the multicultural Singaporean and global community through a platform that is accessible and interesting. These conversations run the gamut of from intellectual and cultural exchanges to more personal conversations about how people fulfill their dreams. My main mission for this series and hope actually is to inspire and cultivate a more diverse and inclusive community that can learn from one another at peace. It is an honor for me today to have you, Chef Todd English, for my episode number 46. American celebrity, chef, TV personality, restaurateur, author, and philanthropist. I will say a few words as a short introduction of your bio, and then we'll continue with the chat, as I said. Chef Todd is one of the most celebrated creative chefs in the world. He's a four-time James Beard Award winner and has been introduced into the James Beard Foundation's Who is Who in Food and Beverage in America, and we talk about it a little bit later. He has over 20 innovative restaurants in the United States alone, authored 6 critically acclaimed cookbooks, and created a record-breaking housewares line. Tonight, we will talk about your journey, inspirations, TV show hosting, and philanthropy, these charities, and your own charity, the Wendy English Breast Cancer Foundation, which you established in honor of your sister. I've had the privilege, as I said, to meet you several months ago, so I'm very, very grateful. And because before that, of course, I've experienced your creations and visited some of your institutions, I should say, but met you in person, so it's amazing. So we'll start a little bit from the early days and your inspirations, starting from your childhood. You started on actually quite a very different path when you were much younger. You had a baseball scholarship. So how did this happen? How did your path change so much? And how did it all started, basically?
Well, it's interesting, Olga. I mean, you got to understand. So I'm, fourth generation Italian American kid, like a lot of American kids are. And I was very fortunate. I grew up in a household of really good cooks. My grandmother, who lived with us, she was from Calabria. So matter she didn't speak Italian with me. I wish she had, but we learned a little bit here and there. And but I certainly learned and was inspired by her cooking, and you know, the aromas of garlic and olive oil and all the things, those beautiful aromas that come from Italy, and we're always kind of wafting through the house. Okay, and I didn't know how lucky I was until I, you know, later on in life, and I still to this day remember things that she taught me very subtly as an amazing cook.
Yes.
You know, I could get into that later, but you know, you understand. So, as an American kid, okay, you're talking. You know, this is like 60s, 70s. I mean, America was certainly not known for cuisine. Was not known for cooking, and
Yes.
you know, so for me, I love sports. It was my outlet to a lot of things that were going on in my life. I actually, little did they know, I actually took my baseball scholarship, but I also loved soccer or football, known in the rest of the world, and was also on it. So I was on a full ride athletic scholarship for both sports at the time, and I, you know, that was my eternal dream to do that, and with very few thoughts about actually following a culinary career because it was just not something we thought about. You know, we weren't
It was
introduced.
natural, I guess, for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we weren't introduced. It wasn't like something you go, oh, you know, I'm going to become a chef. That was very, very unusual at the time.
Yes. So, you know, it's incredible that you still carry on the memories from your grandmother and the recipes and all, and to share with all of us that you actually of the Italian origin. You grew up in Texas, and your last name is English, so it could be extremely confusing for some, but yet you are basically an Italian.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yes, I am.
Yes, it is right.
Slice
Um,
right through me, and you get the Italian boot right through me. So.
Uh, can you share one of your perhaps earliest, most vivid memories that shaped your passion for cooking? Perhaps it's from your grandmother or from maybe something else.
Well,
What happened?
yeah, you know. So I would go back and forth between New York because my family, as the Italian American, we landed in New York. So I had a lot of fond memories of going to New York and watching my uncle who had a bakery, doing Italian pastries, etc., that kind of stuff. There was other family members that had restaurants as well. So I was always around that, you know, kind of, but always felt kind of, you know, how you say it, you know, a little, you know, forget about it, kind of, you know, attitude, a little mafioso in the sense that there's something else going on, you know. But I do remember that very, very fondly. But I think I do remember one of the most amazing dishes that kind of I realized, wow, there's something definitely different. And we were growing. I also grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and we would get these ice storms, and I would knock the power out for 2 or 3 days. And I remember, like, you know, hey, you know, so. You know, how are we going to cook? The gas, you know, the electricity was off, the gas, you know. So my grandmother actually got a big cauldron, got rabbit, and she used to make rabbit
Wow.
cacciatore in the fireplace. So the big cauldron would swing in, swing out, she basted, swing in, swing out. And I remember eating this and going, and she made polenta to go with it. I was like, oh my God, this is an unbelievable. It really like shaped my culinary style, I think, in the sense it was just so luscious and so full of flavor, and all the things that I still look for in food, still luscious and full of flavor, rustic and delicious and honest, and you know, so those are the things that, you know, I remember, and sitting there, you know, freezing and wrapped up in a blanket and eating this rabbit cacciatore with my grandmother and my sister at the time and my mother, and we were like, this is heaven, this is life, you know. And then they would sneak a little red wine for me because that's what you do as a young Italian kid. And it was I just that was one of the fondest memories I had of food that really shaped, I think, what I'm doing today.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Actually, I know that I've heard that chefs either love or hate the food. So by you telling the story, I obviously realize that you love the food right from the beginning, right from your childhood, which is obviously great. And that, yeah, I would like to move into your career and culinary style. What was the defining moment in your career that made you realize you've made it as a chef? Perhaps share your first big break or your first big gig or something that led you into the current path?
That's such a extraordinary question because, I think, and I think I share this with a lot of my colleagues as well out there. You have these moments, the aha moments, and I remember some of them along the way. And it might have been, some awards that I won or a special dinner I did for whatever that moment. This is great. I mean, I remember going to finally, at the time, I went to the Culinary Institute of America, and I remember the year-long wait to get in. There was a waiting list to get into those days, and I mean, you had to actually try out to go to school. And I remember I finally got in. I went to school, and I said, I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. I said, this is what I want to do. And really, that was a very big aha moment in my life, from just realizing that I love everything about the energy, the lifestyle, the craziness, all the passion about food, and I was very fortunate to have some great mentors there at the school at the time. So I just, it just kind of all kind of started flowing. Certainly I had those hard days, and those days I'm like, I'm getting out of this business. I'm never doing this thing again. What am I doing? But continuing that and enjoying that is something that I think those were the aha moments in my life.
Wonderful. So it was an honest promise to yourself, from what I hear, which is very, very important. I mean, it's obviously a passion. And jumping, you mentioned the awards. So I would like to for you to share, if possible, about the James Byrne Foundation that was established actually 30 years ago. And for some people who don't know, it's called the Oscars of the food. And your experience being listed in the creme de la creme of culinary arts is incredible. How was it, and how's the winning this awards changed your relationship with the industry and with the food of art, and just how did it influence you, if any?
It was to this day I'm so such an extraordinary honor to receive the James Beard Award. And I remember I never met James Beard, but I was very close to Julia Child at the time, and I remember my first. It was actually the first James Beard Awards in 1990, and we're on actually a yacht in New York City, a giant event yacht, and we were there, and I was handed the award by Julia Child, which was pretty extraordinary. Those of you that know me,
Wow.
she's like the godmother of cuisine in this country, and brought so much great joy in life. So to me, that was that. Not only that, but a rising star. I was just, and it was like, wow, this is extraordinary. At the time, I had no idea the impact that it would eventually have on me. And I did a lot of work with the James Beard Foundation. We did a lot of work throughout the years just to support each other and support our community of chefs. And this is a way to say, you know what? This is as great of art as many other things that we do. It is. It's like it is that thing. Like we started a movie. And we do that. And the fact is that we had this opportunity to honor what we do and honor each other and to vote for each other and to root each other on. And it's quite and what it's become is a ticket to bigger and better things and things that people strive for. And as we do this every day, and the one thing I remember, I think it was one of the Brennans, Elsa Brennan, who was very famous in New Orleans for her restaurants, and Ella Brennan, and she said, what's amazing is that we are, as restaurateurs, if you get an Oscar as a movie star or something like that, you get your movie star, your Oscar, and then maybe you might go on vacation for 2 or 3 months. We get our Oscar, the James Beard Award, and guess what? We go back in the kitchen, or we go back to work the next day.
Exactly.
Higher now, and people are going to be, okay, you won an award. Let's see if it's really worth it. So it kind of never, never starts down.
And Beautiful story. Thank you. And this is actually brings me to the question, because you walk so much and because you kind of never, you just continued on and on. And after this award, how did your culinary style evolved over the years? And what are the factors that influence this evolution? Because you've been in it, creating the food art for so many years.
It's so interesting because, I think what plays into this a lot is a lot of the things that as an athlete and a younger, when I was younger, that I always strive to be better. I always strive. I want to continue to push myself, push the envelope, if you will. And it's the same thing that goes on with my cooking and what I do in the kitchen and my culinary style is, yeah, okay, I did that. It's great, but now let's move on to the next thing because that's not good anymore. So it's always constantly doing that, and I can't think. Well, yeah, it never goes away, and I guess I'm thankful that it never goes away because it keeps pushing me to do better and to strive to be better.
Yeah.
But but then again, it kind of drives me crazy at the same time because it's that sort of thing, and that little voice on your shoulder going,
Yes.
okay, that's great, but now let's do it better. So that was kind of the.
By saying that, you obviously have your signature dish. Has a signature dish that you have really been changing, evolving something a little bit different, or you are very, very consistent and loyal? And if so, what makes it so special to you?
I've been asked this question so many times,
Sure.
I constantly refer to I don't know. I mean, my signature dish is what I just made at that moment, or what I've kind of dreamt up is something that is that moment. And I think, do I rely on one dish as my repertoire? No, I don't. Do I rely on one style of cuisine? No. Do I mix and match things? Yeah.
Yes.
Do I try look? I do. I think my signature dish is more uh, about the uh, taking the challenging myself, and pushing myself to do things that are much different. And those moments you go, wow, that's really cool. Or what is it that is,
Like
that
if
whole sort of.
from your experience, your signature dishes just spun out of basically very, very few available ingredients, and they were amazing. So yes, I can imagine, and you can create your signature dish anywhere and everywhere. So that was definitely very obvious to me.
But I think about it a lot like musicians, and I think about music, and I think about they write songs, and obviously you look at amazing musicians like the Beatles, and they have these signature songs that are theirs, but they never stop writing songs.
Yes.
They never throughout their career. And then there's another signature song, and there's another one, and another, So
Yes.
If you say, okay, it's the Beatles, it's Let It Be, or it's Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin, or whatever it might be, that is their signature song that gets played over and over and over.
Actually, I totally agree.
It's sort of their answer.
It's like jazz, it's improvisation. When you play one piece, the same piece in jazz, you still keep on improvising.
Yeah.
So yes, it says yes. That's why I guess I love jazz so much. You've also authored 6 critically acclaimed cookbooks. And I know from publishing myself 2 books how much work it takes, how much um, how much really hard work it takes to pen down your ideas, your thoughts, and rewrite and write and publish books in general. What inspired you for each of the books, and how do you feel now about some of the recipes that were published years ago in some of the books? Would you still keep them? Would you change them? Well, we spoke about it a little bit now, so it's all a little bit about improvisation, but nevertheless, can you share with us a little bit about your books?
Yeah, it's like, okay, I wrote that song, I did that recipe, and it's great, but now I'm moving on. I got other things I got to work on. So it's documented. I love that. I do it a lot for my, sort of with my children, and understanding of them, then understanding some of the things that we worked on all the time. But I think I like the fact that there's I found that cookbooks actually pushed me to do new things. So I was always sort of going back, documenting some things, and then moving forward and creating new things. And so that's the part that I like about doing cookbooks. It's kind of really makes you think about what you're doing, and really makes you think about, oh, okay, is this something that I want it to be? Is this something that it represents me and what I'm about? So it's a sort of self-analytical way of thinking. Okay, this makes sense, or it doesn't, or this is twist on things. I mean, I always say, I look at my cuisine in a lot of ways. I always say I do common things in uncommon ways. What does that mean? Other than it's just a little twist on things. It's taking things that are kind of out of the box a little bit, or put it back in the box and then take it out of the box and then, flip it over, change it. I like little surprises, little nuances of things that kind of make people think. I like that. I like the challenge, but I think that's also what cookbooks do as well.
Wonderful. And talking about challenge, I think we should move a little bit into you being a restaurateur. You have several restaurants that you've started, and I would like to first of all know about your philosophy of your own restaurants and restaurant Olives, of course, become iconic Olives. What do you think it made it so successful, and what do you think made so many other places so successful? And definitely your own, you can definitely own the criteria behind it. I want to know about your philosophy toward places, the restaurants.
It's so interesting because I'm constantly always working on new concepts and new ideas, and I mean things that are really the new stuff I'm working on is more about environmentally friendly things and about sustainability, et cetera, all the things that are obviously very important to today. But I always try to keep my finger on the pulse. I always try to listen to people. I try to get out and see what's going on a lot. I really try to listen to my inner self and then go, okay, what is it that is me? What's important that represents me? Olives at the time was every bit about a sort of coming out party for me, all the things that I had experienced, all the things that we had done together, and I just said, this is how I want to express it. And we did it in the form of a restaurant called Olives, which is my family on the Italian side always talked about. They were in the olive business in Italy, and I always heard stories growing up about the olive oil that they made, and the olives, and all the things around olives, and then so it kind of made sense for me to do that, and then I fell in love with food where so it kind of all made sense. I said, okay, let's just call this olives because it incorporates everything that I am about right now, and so those are the things that made it happen. We did things in the '90s that play louder music, have it be more of a fun party environment. And I don't say party, but more of a fun environment, like new American style dining.
Yes.
One of my good friends and guys at one of the restaurants that I still remember to this day, and some people may remember it if you are my age, but a restaurant in San Francisco that Jeremiah Tower did was called Stars, and it was just the most amazing dining experience because it took, I'd grown up before that working in tablecloth restaurants, very stiff, very formal. And he took it out, took the tablecloths off, put a piano in the middle of the room, and made this fun environment with incredible food that was really different, and kind of twists on it. Farm to table was certainly a big part of what they were doing way back in the '90s, late '80s, and it was just something that was extraordinary. So that, to me, I felt like I wanted to take the stiffness out of dining. I wanted to give it more of a, let's have some fun. Food. Let's not take this so serious. Food is our greatest democracy. Let's get down and let's have a great time. Let's break bread all together and enjoy what things are about.
Yes, it's camaraderie and it's experience for sure. It's overall this immersion into the world of indulgence and happiness and kindness for sure. And now you're in Bali. You're currently in Bali, as I know, and as our viewers and listeners can see, and you're there for the new restaurant called Jade.
Yeah.
Fairly new, I should say. I was privileged to dine there and for you to cook there for us, which was absolutely amazing. Is this your first venture in Asia? And what
No,
inspired you actually to
yeah,
set your roots in Bali?
yes, I have. I was in the Philippines with a bunch of concepts that I did there, and a food hall we did back in 2014 and 15. It became very successful. I was in Tokyo and uh, and and partnered with some of Nobu's partners there, Nobu Matsuhisa, who brought me over as well. I was in Tokyo in Roppongi Hills for 10 years. Loved that. I just fell in love with Japanese
Yes.
cooking and style and existence. So all of that. So no, this is not my first rodeo in Asia, and excited to be back and be experiencing all the wonderful flavors that come from this and aromas. And part of what I've been doing here in Bali is going to local markets and finding some things that are about Bali. And I think that's it's amazing that you just never stop learning. I think that's something that I really, really love about what I do. So it's it's a challenge, and I'm really excited about this restaurant. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, for sure. It's really beautiful. I encourage everyone who goes to Bali, definitely go and dine there and visit the restaurant. You never know, you might be lucky and to have Chef Todd there cooking for you personally. So please
I'm
go
in
and visit.
I'm in my new villa here, so you have to come and see it over at some point. Yes.
On this note, I have a friend of mine, Erica, just asked. There are a lot of questions, a lot of comments, by the way, that I see coming through, but I will not reply to all of them. But there is a question: are you planning to open anything in Singapore? And I certainly hope the answer will be yes. So,
I love Singapore. I think it's one of the great food cities in the world, and continues to show that on all levels. Great restaurants, great food, great clientele. It's got all it's on all notes, and it's a melting pot of incredible cultures. And that I think makes for some of the great food cities like New York. When you start bringing in all these cultures, and then you become this melting pot of lots of things, and then all of a sudden
yes.
something new
Well,
birds out of that, and it's pretty cool to see. Yeah.
I can't agree more. And we need you. So definitely it's going to happen. And we'll all support you, I promise you. You just mentioned, and it's absolutely true, that there are a lot of challenges you face when you are in the restaurant industry in F&B. I observed and I've been part of it at some points quite often because I'm in events, as you know, industry. So I deal with a lot of chefs, with a lot of restaurants, with a lot of different cultures and egos as well. How do you overcome some of the challenges? And if there are, and if there's some negative comments or publicity and media is speaking up on it, how do you manage the food critics, for example?
Yeah. I don't even know. Well, you're in the invent business, You know, 80% of the time everything goes perfect. You always have that 20% of that is like, oh my God, what happened? And I don't say that with you, but I think you just sort of have to learn to go with the flow, and certain things happen
Yes.
along the way. And as long as you know that going into whatever you're doing, I think you realize, okay, well, let's there's a plan
Yes.
B. Let's figure it out. And so that's the challenge. It's also kind of the excitement too. You kind of
You're running
how do I figure
on adrenaline.
the adrenaline that it takes
Yes.
for you to get through it. And not everybody can do it, but I know you're extraordinary what you do, and it's like incredible to I admire event planners because it's
Okay.
so many parts, and so much to think about, and it's not easy to do. And
No, no. People think that it's glamour. It's just like being a celebrity chef or any other, I should say, well-known personality. But behind the scenes, as we all know, it's extremely hard work and it ain't glamorous. But in any case, and thank you for mentioning. And talking about a little bit event planning and being who you are, a lot of work goes into building the relationship with, for me, for example, with my clients. And I strive on having repeat clients for many, many years and my loyal supporters because they know what to expect when I plan an event. And their testimonials bring me so much joy. With food and beverage, it's even more. There must be a lot of work that goes into creating this legacy, into creating the experience for guests that for them to come back. Can you please share a little bit about how you build the loyalty with your client, with your customers, and with your followers?
Um, when I first started out, and you know, I remember that first meal I put out. I was 27 years old, and I was like, "What am I doing? What am I thinking?" And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, is anybody going to actually come to my restaurant? Is anybody going to, appreciate what I'm doing?" And I think, I think it's about a sincerity. I think it's
Yes.
about a genuineness of what you do, and honestly of I think that is probably uh, you know uh, one of the things. Plus, I like to have fun, and I want to have fun. My customers to have fun, and my clients to have fun, and I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Is just uh, restaurants are created for many different reasons, and I've always believed that we for the average American, average person in the world, you work hard. Everybody works hard, and you know, and where do what's your the restaurant should be like a little mini vacation or a little play, in those days. Now it's even more part of our more daily life. But like I'm going there, and I want to like forget about my day. I just want to think about having fun with my friends and eating something pretty incredible and enjoying that moment or that time. And so I always try to create the experience about that. Like, you have that moment, you have that thing around, and it's that sort of little moment, of getting, you know, that escape, if you will.
Yes.
That you dive into in the food, you lose yourself in the food. You have a great glass of wine, you're with your friends, and you realize this is why I'm living. This is what I do, why I do, and this. And I think it's a little reminder every day of why we love to do, the love of cuisine, the joy of sitting around the table and enjoying each other's company. That is what I do. There's no other reason.
Yes.
People can.
So true.
I am a huge believer in that. I'm a nurturer by nature, and I believe that people, and if you can give people that experience, a little something that is like, takes them out of their day to day, whatever that is, then you got something.
Yes, it's all worth it, and it's pride, and it's complete satisfaction, and it's just I can totally relate to this, and it's exhilarating feeling, and it's definitely I'm very grateful to have these feelings and to have these moments, and I'm sure you do as well. You travel so much, and even me, I mean, I have such a difficulty sometimes catching your thought. You're all over the place, and you have because you have a large range of restaurants that you need to control with regards to the quality, with regards to maintain the quality, and so many different enterprises. And staff training, I'm sure, is another challenge. Do you have any particular training process that you follow, or how do you express to your staff, to your different teams in different countries, your vision, and how do you entice them to uh, do their best and to create together with you on the level that you would like them to do?
There's a lot of different answers for what you just asked me. um,
Basically, your training
yeah,
process, I would say.
I get that, but I think I think it's about um, it's all about who you bring on, how you hire, how do you inspire, how do you keep people interested, how do you keep them, you know, part of the team and motivated. And I think that's something that's so
Yes.
important. And and I want people to be excited. I want them to feel and own it. And I think that's also a huge part of it. So be Yes, it's my restaurant or experience, but it's also uh, Chef Fraser and Abu Dhabi, or Chef Paul. And I have all the wonderful, amazing team that I love to inspire, and I think bring them into the game, bring them in to be part of this challenge that we face all the time, every day, which is the consistency of making food taste the same over and over and over again. We say all the
Yeah.
time, we're only as good as our last meal, and that will never go away. And that person that comes in is the last person to be seated at 11:35, and and the kitchen's closing at midnight. Guess what? That has to be as good as that person that came in at 7 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, or 5 o'clock. When you're fresh, and. So that's the challenge. I think there's no bigger challenge than the restaurant industry. There's a lot of challenges, but I think the biggest one is consistently being consistent and following through. And
Absolutely.
that's what I think I drill home. I try to
Yes.
do. And if you don't have that passion, and you're not that kind of person that's going to be able to be detailed and watch every step, know what's going on, have a feel for it, then you're not gonna. It just the wheels come off and things go downhill very quickly.
Absolutely. That's why you thought English is a brand. What is the philosophy behind your brand? How
Uh,
do you approach creating a cohesive identity across all your restaurants?
well, I think I realized early on, and I might have learned this from Julia, and I definitely my friend Martha Stewart, and a lot of great designers in the world who were my customers as well, like Tommy Hilfiger, and the list goes on and on. In New York, Calvin Klein, etc. And I was very fortunate to meet very dynamic people in their industry, and I realized, wow, how do they do that? What is it that is? And I realized early that the brand is more important than the restaurants in some ways.
Yes.
Maintaining the brand. Restaurants come and go, trends come and go, things happen. It happens. It changes all the time. But the fact is, if you have that brand, and that brand is and wherever you take that, it's always part of that. The success of what you're doing. It's always something that will override anything else that happens. And people pay attention to that. I mean, I was very fortunate. I was on Home Shopping Network for the better part of 18 years, and going 12 times to 15 times a year, and going on air and selling. I introduced ceramic cookware to the world with Joy Mangano on HSN. We broke all sorts of records in selling cookware because it was sort of time to get rid of that old cookware that we all knew was not good for you, and which is the polytetrafluoroethylene, Teflon pans, and they have since no longer allowed by the U.S. government, but we've changed that perspective for a healthier way of eating.
Yeah.
And I was very part of, and very excited about that, and was very passionate about bringing that to life, and it was something that helped me get into so many homes and really touch a lot of lives and a lot of people across this amazing country, the USA, and across the world.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think is there's the two parts that I like about having a brand is that touching the lives of people, touching them in a way that is nurturing, fruitful, healthy, whatever it might be, and also for the fact that we can. There's ways to raise money in charitable way, and I think if I can get sold off at an auction and give away a dinner for X amount, and that there's 40, 50,000, but whatever it might be, goes to a charity because of what I do, and that's exciting to me. That's something that is another reason why I do what I do, because I think giving back is the most important
Yes.
thing. And I came up
Absolutely.
very humble.
Absolutely.
I was like, what? This is what I've done so many, and I was so excited going from a line cook at a Mexican restaurant in Connecticut when I was 15 years old to working with French chefs and traveling the world on my food trip show, doing things, going on HSN, cooking for queens, the Queen of England. I mean,
Yes.
you know, like some days I go, this really happened? How did that happen? You know, what did, what, you know, and it's so, the journey's
And
been
it's all
quite,
true. Todd, you are the legend. It's absolutely all true. And talking about auctioning, we'll talk about it off the line because I will definitely discuss with you the uh, charitable cause at one point. And we'll mention your charities that you support and established as well in a few minutes. But for now, I would like to chat with you about your personal preferences and perhaps inspirations. Are there any particular favorite ingredient that you like to work with and why? Well, you did share with us the influence of your grandmother and the dish, but nevertheless, if there is anything that you can share with us now that we can keep in mind for our own cooking, please let me know. Let us know.
you know, Olga, that sort of keeps changing. Um, and it kind of evolves into different things. Of course, I have my childhood memories. Those will never go away. We all have that. You know, I think I always say cooking is, what's interesting about cooking is it's the only art form that we use all five senses. You know,
Yes.
And then you know, kind of at the end of the day, we eat it, it's gone, and we start over again. You know, and so it's extraordinary in the sense that we get to do that and do something that's so so I guess so uh, um, touchable. So you know, you can feel it. You know, I think food is about feeling
About
and
feelings and
memories
yes,
that we create, and like you know, you can remember a song. The song might bring back evoke certain memories. Food does the same thing through
absolutely.
aroma, through something
And
that's
actually,
made.
I'll ask you something a little bit later about the feelings that food and creates, which I actually, yes, I would like to share with you and then ask you a question as well. Um, but I also want to ask you, who are some of your culinary inspirations outside of the professional sphere? What is the difference between Chef Todd and the man who cooks at home for the family?
Zero.
I should have asked Tanya about it, but I'm asking you.
Uh, but it's funny because I always felt that if you don't cook with love in your heart and for the passion for that love in heart, for that love of food, that love, that passion, it's never really going to show in your food. Um, and I always said, you know, I cook with love in my heart for my kids, my loved ones, anybody around me. And when I have that emotion, that feeling, that thing going on, you know, it's limitless what I can do and how the flavors and what happens, you know, the magic that happens in the pan or in the oven or in the stove or in the bowl or wherever it might be. And so uh, that is that creative passion, that creative courageousness that goes on. And I'm trying to create menus, I'm trying to create restaurants, things that happen are all about love and all about that soul that you feel. If you don't have that, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me, if I don't feel that, it's just, you know, it's not going to be something that's extraordinary. And that's how I always felt. And when I'm cooking for my loved ones, man, that's like a whole nother level of my friends, you know, that's what I love to do.
Yes.
Me, at the end of the day, that's something that really is, and then my friends are, extend beyond just the people that come over to my house and my kids, my friends also, the ones that, you know, in my restaurants and the people that support me. And it's the same, I feel that same appreciation for them in their dining and trusting me, putting the food on the plate and hoping that, you know, they'll really enjoy
Totally.
that moment. And that,
That's how, that's what, this is how I felt, and this is exactly how you are, and how it is when you cook for all of us, for your friends. It's wonderful. I would like to ask you a question. If you could collaborate with any chef or the culinary figure, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
You know, that's who I've been asked a few times, and I love history. I love the history. I love to study history. I think it tells a lot of things about food. Why certain things, like you say alcatun in Spain or olive, which is actually an Arabic term, because the nomadic tribes moved into, the Moors moved into Spain, and they brought their olives and their olive oils, etc. And so I think if you look at cuisine and history and the way food, you know, developed, whether it was famines or the king of Italy taking salt away, and salt being used as salt is the foundation is a salary, all these things that history tells you about food. So having said that, I studied a lot. In the days when there was no internet, I'd actually go to the library, the Culinary Institute of America, that had this extraordinary
Yes.
collection of books. And one of my favorite books to read was actually about Antoine Carême, and I say this because the French sort of define cuisine in modern terms today. A lot of terms that we use, but not to bore you. But Augustus Buffet, that's what I want to cook with. So
Got it.
that sounds so. I know. I mean, it's like, oh, okay. Well, who is that? No,
No, it's a cool answer. It's also a
but
very diplomatic
for me,
answer, but
for
broad.
me,
So
guys,
thank you for
just
that.
deciding. I mean, I was fortunate enough to cook with Julia Child, so there was one I checked off.
Yes.
So if you go back to history, I mean, these people that really did some interesting things with food. I mean, Thomas Jefferson in the United States brought olive trees, brought wine. He did a lot of extraordinary things in Virginia because he would travel to France and he would bring stuff back in, and Italy and Europe, and he brought stuff back and created.
Yes.
So those are people that I find that were kind of founding fathers and members, and then who knows? Who else? So let's see. Maybe I know Paris Hilton likes to cook. I cook with her too. So
I would like to be present, even like a little fly in a wall at any of those dinners. So with any of these people. So it sounds wonderful. I would like to move into the food culture and legacy. Uh, People talk a lot about the sustainability. How important the sustainability is in your cooking, and what steps do you take to ensure your restaurants are environmentally conscious, and what actually does sustainability mean to you? Because as you know, there's a lot of talk about it, but I'm not sure about how honest these talks are sometimes.
well, okay. Well, it's great you mentioned that. I mean, obviously, I studied in Europe, and and I think early on, learning about learning cooking with ingredients in Italy or France or wherever I might have been, and realizing, wow, that peach is unbelievable. That tomato, why do the tomatoes taste like this in the States? And realizing that's they didn't use the term organic because it was already organic, and I think that's sort of something that I think that we took for granted, and so yeah, I'm a huge believer in growing things the right way. I'm getting involved in aquaponics. I have two amazing children, or three amazing children, but two that
Yes.
are
And I will
film.
talk about your son's documentary in a little
Yeah.
while as well. So,
My daughter's actually an amazing chef. She's corporate chef of in Sonoma,
yes.
in San Francisco. I try to talk her out of it, but I mean, she blows me away. I'm like, she's unbelievable talented. And my son actually was working. They just shot a documentary called Feeding Tomorrow. It's available on Apple TV.
Yes.
They're number 7. They're the most downloaded documentaries, and I think they talk a lot of. They've taught me a lot in their film, and they really went after it and said, okay,
Yes.
what's regenerative? What's regenerative soil? They interviewed people all over the world about is there going to be soil left in 50 years? And they talked about this. So I learned a lot from them about that. And I mean, I've always been very passionate about it, but and making sure that we get great, healthy vegetables and trying to work with the farmers and those people that produce our food. But they really took it to the next level and have taught me a lot. So I'm really excited about learning even more with them about how we can change our planet, how we can eat things that are more local and in season. And that's something I've always been a huge believer in. So I won't try not to eat tomatoes, although they're getting better in December. There's some good hydroponic tomatoes now, so that's changing. So I think the stuff that I've been working with in hydroponic gardens is a very exciting work and is here to stay, and is going to be part of our food world in a big way.
Yes, thank you for, and I wanted originally, well, I wanted to ask you what would be your lasting legacy in the culinary world, but you spoke just now about your amazing children, and I did talk to your son actually. I chatted with him, and I seen his documentary and looking at it as well in general. So I guess this is your greatest legacy from what I can assume and understand. And so you are legend and creating legends.
Yes, I couldn't be prouder. Of course,
Of course,
it was
of
great.
course.
It was great to see them
On
growing
this,
up and what they did, and sort of being part of that.
on
Taking me
this,
around all sorts of cool stuff around the world that I had to do with food. So, yeah.
wonderful. Thank you. And it's wonderful to be proud, and your kids are amazing, absolutely. And of course, a lot of knowledge we all have now we gain through the social media, for better or for worse. What is your personal relationship with the social media? And do you use it to further your mission, or doesn't really play any part, or big or small part? Your following is very high, but I just want to ask you personally, what how do you
I love,
feel about
I
social media?
not the most efficient at it, but I love it, and I love the communication of it. I love the information. I love what uh, um, how we are able to. Uh, there's an education part, the things that you learn on a daily basis about topics that you never even think about, and I think those are great. I think what's great, what has done wonders for our business in the sense of the restaurant business. It's like a great way that we can communicate with our clientele, and a great way that we can understand and be better at what we do. And so I'm a big fan. Like I said, I'm always learning about it and not to grow sufficient at it. So I do have people around me that help me with it. But I think it's here to stay. It's part of our culture.
Yes.
And I think that it's a great thing. I think it's can it get taken too far sometimes? Yeah, but I think for the most part, um, it's it's so exciting. It's so it's evocative. Kind of makes you really think and
Great.
it's I'm always challenging myself, so it's kind of another way to challenge myself.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing, because I think it's a question that a lot of people want to know, and that there is a lot of it in discussion among friends and among people whom I talk to on my conversations with Olga and otherwise. I would like to talk a little bit about your generosity and how charitable you are. And I know that for a fact, and you are very passionate to support very important causes and community efforts, and you have set up a nation of your, or a foundation of your own dedicated in honor of your sister, I should say. I know this must be deeply personal and the reason for so many of your efforts in cancer research. If there is anything you would like to share with all of us, uh, would be great. But as I said, it's totally up to you, and I don't want to pry.
Yeah, I'm, I guess, people ask me, well, what's it like to, be a celebrity chef? And so it kind of was always sort of, well, okay, well, I get that. What is it? But part of it that I get is okay. So that you're in, you're in the media. You're always constantly sort of there. People are aware of what you're doing. What I like about the celebrity part of it is, and probably one of the only things I like about it is that I can be much more effective in what I'm doing with charitable causes. Much more effective in teaching. Much more effective in sort of in the example of my sisters who passed cancer, breast cancer. And I created a foundation for her, and the idea is that about cancer research and about us being able to educate ourselves, and we've really come so far. You know, since it's been almost 20 something years, 20 years now that she, like I think today was her birthday. Yes, she would have been 60. So and so I find that it's to make people, there's an awareness. Creating awareness is how you get some resolution and can actually start making progress to move that needle forward. And so that's the biggest part of why, if there's any sort of legacy or anything that I do in my life about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing it in honor of your sister and for the good of everybody who needs this kind of help. Thank you. Before we finish, because we are coming almost to an end, there are some few fun questions and some of the mentions, of course, about something that I'm passionate about. So do you, about film. What is your comfort food or guilty pleasure, I should say, that might surprise all of us?
Every morsel of me is an Italian boy, but it's always going to be pasta. Always pasta.
Okay.
Think about chocolate chip cookies. I love
I
chocolate
buy
chip.
for it. I will go for it as well. So yes. I'm,
Oh my God.
if I don't need to restrain myself, actually it probably would be pasta as well.
Yeah.
And with regards to your hobbies, interests, Todd, I know how busy you are. I see you and I talk to you and I just observe your travel and your hard work. Are there any particular hobbies or interests outside of culinary world that help you to relax and recharge, besides massages
Yeah.
and
Well,
that we have in Bali?
I love music. I actually love to play and write a little bit, and so it's kind of something that I do for myself. I don't really, and so music, you know, maybe that's probably my biggest passion. I love golf. I love things that kind of take me out of my element and take me someplace else. And so it's hard to find the 4 or 5 hours in a day to play golf, but when I do, I love it, and I've been playing since I was 3 years old. It doesn't mean that I'm great, but I know how
Yeah,
to. I do love the game, and I love uh, the when you're out in that environment, and the challenge of which is every day, hitting the ball straight, not hitting it too many times, all those things that the golf is about. So those are two of my immediate, easy passions to talk about. At the end of the day, when I had 3 kids and 70 restaurants and my travel show and HSN, there wasn't a lot of time to do a lot of other things.
absolutely.
So but music,
Exactly.
I,
Exactly.
I could do that in the middle of the night, and if I couldn't sleep, I'd pick up my guitar and
Yes.
strum.
I think sleep is to me as well, it's probably the best and most gratifying pleasure that gets me really going and
Learn that.
just
Hold on.
gives me the energy to, yes, and relaxation as well. This on a different subject, we spoke about your amazing son, Oliver. Oliver English, for everybody to know, is a filmmaker. My son is a filmmaker as well, so I know how hard the life is. And please, everybody, if you haven't seen Feeding Tomorrow, please watch. It's an incredible film. And
It's Oliver and
really,
Simon.
really extremely important. There are two, right? Yes,
Yeah, and
that's
Simon
right.
was the cinematographer. He went to New York Film Academy. Oliver produced it, and I was brilliant.
Yes, there are two of them. Exactly. Exactly.
A
Yes.
great, music.
Yes.
So,
Were you involved in any part of the production or filming process at all? Or did they ask your opinion or did they share with you?
I had very little to do with it. I had nothing other than you know, um, what led them to the inspiration, and then they took it from there.
Right.
So certainly was so proud of what they did, and so I think all the years of the travel that we did, and all the things we did around food, and all those things that
Put
certainly
together.
their passion for what they're, as my daughter is too, Williamson.
Yes. Great, thank you. On the subject of movies, to me, film is such an important medium for sharing perspectives and experiences. There have been a number of films and the TV series, of course, about the food, but for me personally, uh, for many years, one of my most favorite films, I think, was Babette's Feast.
Yeah.
And I've seen it probably maybe 15 times, and I still love it. I love to see the emotions behind it. I love to see the passion behind it. And the same actually goes for the chocolate. And another movie that I filmed that I've seen just recently, The Taste of Things. I don't know if you've seen that one with Juliette Binoche as well. It's a fairly new movie. I've seen it recently, and all these movies have the leitmotif of the same thing. People talk through the creation of the food art. They express themselves, express their characters, express their feelings, express their passion through something extraordinary and sharing this food. And this is exactly what actually you've spoken about and how I see you and how people see you. Is there, if you've seen probably Chocolat and Babette's Feast, and if you haven't seen The Taste of Things, I think you will like it and you definitely can relate to it because this is how you are. And I would like you to maybe mention what emotions the food brings in you and what emotions you share, personal emotions that you share as a chef and as a human in general.
But yeah, uh, yeah, there's certainly a lot of passion around what we do. So I think cooking is highly emotional because it evokes certain senses in what we do in our life, and um, so uh, is there is there a movie around it? Is there a creation around it? I think of course there is. There always is. I think because people are always interested in what people are eating or cooking or what they're doing as far as food goes. So I try to always find myself, making my own movie in my head about what I'm
Yeah.
cooking.
I
If
just
that
wanted
makes
to
sense.
say that if people would make the movie about you, your emotions and your passion would definitely come out for sure. Because yeah, I've seen you in action and I see expressions on your face that really, really give the light and start the experience of for people even before tasting what you've prepared. So that's why I actually mentioned some of these movies that when you see people who create food art and who serve and who put their own soul and mind into it, the food tastes better. I can relate a little bit with this to myself as well because when I create events, I put all my heart, all my passion into it, and I want people to feel it without me talking about it. They need to feel it, and this is exactly what happens with you, Todd. So I really am thanking you on behalf of everyone, and there are a lot of people joined our conversation right now from all over the world, and I'm thanking everybody for that. And any hint of any new exciting projects that you are able to can share with us for the end of the conversation?
Yeah. Well, there's always new stuff happening. I mean, I'm very thankful. Like, I'm approached about projects all over the world. I just opened up a beautiful project in Abu Dhabi Airport, the new one that they just built. She's that made a beautiful, just extraordinary airport. And so, that's was a very fun, cool thing that I did. I'm working on some stuff in Saudi. I love the Middle East. I'm obviously here in Asia, kind of creating what we're doing here. I've got some stuff that is also about, we're talking about sustainability that might include, doing some aqua farming and some hydroponics as well. I've been working with interesting company called Axiom Space about creating food for space stations down the road and things that are
Wow.
how to change that culture a little bit. So wherever food touches someone's life and things that happen, this is something that I love doing. I think that pushing that envelope, pushing things that are different.
You're definitely pushing the boundaries as you always are. You're a creator, you're an innovator, And with all your knowledge and passion and vision, I should say, we wouldn't expect anything less. And I'm looking forward, so is everyone, to everything what is going to come out of this talented soul of yours. And Singapore is definitely should be on the list as well, Todd, for sure.
Of
Please. And we'll
course.
continue the conversation, but thank you so much for taking the time. I know how busy you are and how challenging it is was for me to capture you and to pin you down to this hour, and for sharing your experience with me and all of our viewers. I wish you all the best. We'll continue talking, and I can't wait to hear more and to see you soon as well. For everybody, please follow Chef Todd on his journey. Visit some of his acclaimed restaurants. And as I said, you might get lucky and you will see him cooking for you personally. So please look out for him. This conversation will be posted on my IGTV. Sorry, on IG at Events by Olga. I will also post it on the YouTube. I have a YouTube channel just for the conversations with Olga. So that we have all the 46 episodes there with incredible people, and there are more to come. So stay tuned. And thank you again and again, Chef. And I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, good morning, good day, and just stay safe.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.